Okay, greetings everybody, and welcome to Mahamudra for the people. Maybe I'm going to put a different background on rather than, um, well, I'll just blur my background. Okay, it's lovely to be here with everybody, and we are continuing where we last left off with Rinpoche's opening the door to certainty. And so we will keep going. To date, we've covered, the first portion of the text on a little bit of a reflection on the various kinds of preliminaries, and then the practice of shamatha, and then now the practice of vipassana or lakton. So we're going to keep going with that. Before we do, though, let's take a moment to go through the four thoughts that turn the mind to Dharma, beginning with the preciousness of this human embodiment, or the preciousness of your form. And we can do this by taking a moment to feel into the specific relationship that we have with Dharma right now. Right? And so this includes how we came to practice Dharma. So take a moment to call to mind the first time you ever felt interested or compelled or curious about the practice of Dharma. And then take a little bit of time to feel into the first time or the first place or the first environment in which you learned about meditation, the first instruction you received, the first experience that you had that caused you to want to continue to do this. And then all of the people you've ever encountered within the context of Dharma who have been a support for you. Could be friends, could be family members who have been supportive, community members, teachers, of course, but also Dharma texts, lineages that we've connected with. And the more that we begin to paint this picture, so to speak, of our relationship to Dharma, we begin to see how complex this is. Right? This interconnected web of many, many, many beings. Even those people with whom we've had difficult relationships and the difficult emotions that have arisen as a result, even that has impacted your relationship to Dharma, perhaps your curiosity about the nature of mind, or the deep desire to begin to get free. And so there are days where sometimes we wake up and we feel small or broken or useless. And usually when we feel this way, it is because we're not feeling into the entirety of what buoys us, the entirety of all the different kinds of karmic winds that fill our sails. This is what makes our life precious. All of these amazing connections make this world a place to practice. And that focus is another thing that brings a sense of preciousness to our life. And then, of course, one of the factors that makes this experience of life precious is that it is a very limited resource. Each one of us is impermanent. And some of the benefits around this, for example, are that our suffering is impermanent, our confusion is impermanent, our ignorance is impermanent, our attachments are impermanent, our aversion is impermanent, our reactivity is impermanent. But of course, our physicality is impermanent. Our ability to constantly be here is not given. Right? If you have loved ones or partners or kids or community to which you have meaningful relationship, truly feeling into this impermanence is difficult sometimes. And yeah, is it something that joins all of us together? We might not be able to feel like we always relate to one another's experiences. But the one thing that brings us all together is death. Right? Death is this great democratic force that is impartial. Right? It loves to consume every single person it consumes. And it does not discriminate. And one day death will come for you, and one day death will come for me. And that means that this opportunity will cease, in this form at least. And remembering that. Perhaps a little closely related to this is this work of remembering not to kick the can down the line. I'll do it next week, next month, next year, the next phase of my life. And then karma, cause and effect. What do we all like to be? In control, right? In control of everything, in control of our careers, in control of our lives, in control of our emotions, in control of our relationship to the weather, in control of politics, in control of what others believe or don't believe. And we are not in control. We cannot be in control. We have never been in control. Any kind of idea of control here is a little bit of a hallucination. And much of what we experience are complex karmic causes and conditions, some of which these seeds have been planted a millennia ago, some of which these seeds were planted earlier today. The big thing here is trying to give up our addiction to the hubris of thinking that we are the arbiters of our own destiny. And for anybody who finds it disconcerting that things are just happening, try to stretch your practice to be able to meet that which is happening in such a way that it can happen and be released into a liberated sphere, letting things come and go naturally as they do. No force, no control, no fingerprints, no stickiness. And then moving on into the dissatisfactory nature of samsara. Samsara is painful. Samsara can be confusing. Samsara seems overwhelming sometimes. Samsara is dissatisfactory. Samsara is full of all sorts of defects or defaults. You could say samsara is shoddy. And for anybody who has ever sat in meditation on a day that was particularly samsaric, and all of a sudden things shifted. Perhaps there was softness, perhaps a little sense of ease, perhaps a moment of release. That experience of suffering, I would venture to guess in that moment, shifted. And so the question is in those moments, what happens? Did you just change the universe? Or did you change your mind? Did you make everything click right because you're always in control and you're basically a god or goddess? Or did you get it clear? Experience some spaciousness? Or be able to understand thought and emotion for what they are? For those who like to roll their sleeves up every day and fight samsara, maybe you can put your superhero outfit down and get curious about your own mind and see what informs what. You can't fight yourself out of samsara. You can't justice yourself out of samsara. The only way is to transform your mind. So, having taken a little bit of time to contemplate these four thoughts that turn our mind or orient our mind or direct our mind towards Dharma, we can begin with a tiny little bit of meditation for about 18 minutes, letting your body settle in a way that we can say is final. This relaxed, deep, final settling. Settling like a mountain, settling like a big lump of lead. Just dropped right there. Letting your breath be really natural, coming and going as exactly as it does. Nothing to do, nothing to freak out about, nothing to be in control over, nothing to manipulate. None of us can see each other breathing, so it's not about looking good. None of us can hear each other breathing, so it's not about sounding good, etc. Let your gaze be this gaze of vast, open, primordially liberated since time began awareness. As we see, I'm going to just pull out just to confuse everybody, a Dzogchen instruction. So this is from the song of the cuckoo, or the cuckoo song of pure presence. It's one of the kind of like foundational Dzogchen texts. It's very short. And it goes, "Hey, Mahasattva, magnificent being, listen. The nature of multiplicity is non-dual, and things in themselves are pure and simple. Being here and now is construct-free, and it shines out in all forms, always good. It is already perfect, so exertion is redundant, and spontaneity is ever imminent." So practice with eyes of spontaneous freedom. Practice with eyes that are free from assigning value and meaning and worth to things. Practice with the gaze of a corpse, the gaze of an idiot simpleton. And let your mind be free and supple, relaxed, and able to come and go with everything that arises. And we'll practice like this for 18 And take a moment to come back to the group. And yeah, Miriam, I wrote that they wrote a song that they would like to share with everybody. Would you like to? Feel free.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to paste it into the chat. I've been really inspired by the Dohas from the beginning, and I knew that if I couldn't write one myself, then it was probably time to practice some more. But this one came out pretty naturally yesterday while I was practicing with sickness, and I'd love to share it with you.
Do you want to read it out?
I will read it. It's actually 2 parts because it's so long.
Awesome.
Okay, so homage to my gentle teacher. Caught up in all sorts of stories, trying to control using non-control, analyzing the effect of non-analysis. I was hilariously confused at times. The past is unfathomable, looming over, full of old wounds, pain, and heartbreak, constantly reasserting itself in new ways. Released, it lays itself to rest once more. The future is unknowable and impending, full of my sickeningly sweet imaginations, pulling me many directions simultaneously. It is clearly not where awakening will occur. All sorts of drama takes place on the grand stage known as the present. The performances are pretty convincing, but they are just my own fiction rising up. Narratives of the 3 times finally dying, released from the stories of the 6 realms, glimpsing refuge beyond cause and effect. I'm running out of reasons to get involved. Reduced to cold, calculating spectatorship, making experience pass tests and checks, determining the most effective antidotes. The world feels incredibly small like this. Trying to trigger some chain of events, striking a match repeatedly to no avail. But this fire has been burning forever. There's no need to impose my will. Awareness released from my cruel gaze, dropping fixations fast like hot potatoes, losing my selfish need to make it different. I'm resting because I'm tired, uncontrived. Like my mother, who loves me in any form, through every age, stage, and transition, beaming with tenderness beyond words, I am constantly ready to play and learn. Without denying my attachment aversion, without affirming the invalidity of objects, earnestly practicing the oral instructions, I can't help but feel free.
Thank you, Miriam. That was wonderful. That was really amazing. We're gonna have to have like a Doha slam. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. Wow. That's lovely. And you can tell that this is born of your own experience by the language. Thank you. So, so leading up to the practice of Laktung, or this kind of experience of Vipassana that we find in the Vajrayana tradition, I think it's important to remember. I think this is probably more a function of the need of the human analytic mind to understand that, first comes shamatha and then comes vipassana. So first shine, then laktung. But they're not separate so much, right? Shine or shamatha is this process of really settling, really coming to ease. It's easy to do it in a way that is smothering, right? Where you're accidentally smothering experience that's happening, or that it gets foggy, or things are muted, right? But that's not right, right? That's a little bit of a problem if this happens. And so the question is how to remain clear. I don't have anything that's super clear. I don't have a crystal around, but like clear, present, relaxed, vivid. And I'm going back to Miriam's Doha, ordinary, right? In the sense that this is not something that, you know, it's not a secret treasure we brought back from India or Nepal or Bhutan or Tibet, right? This is just ordinary experience. Right now, they're installing some really wonderful elevator for people to use the subway, but it's going to take like 2 years, and they're using a jackhammer right now. And so the sound of this jackhammering is the ordinary experience of sound in this moment. And it's okay. It's fine. And then Lakton, or, Vipassana, this special insight, is really about the mind getting to understand itself. But this becomes really challenging if the mind doesn't know how to settle. And if the mind is agitated or activated, or there's a vengeful mind arising as a result of some kind of construction worker who's just doing their job, right? Then it's going to be hard to understand the mind's qualities, right? Because one is externalizing, one is fixating. The moment we let go, though, this kind of awareness is able to come into very clear form, so to speak. And I was sharing with somebody this morning a really nice reflection. I came across, maybe I guess it was last night, I'm not sure, but there's this person, James Lowe, who is one of the main students of the late C.R. Lama. So Chime Rigzin Lama, who was a great Dzogchen teacher who died, I don't know, maybe like 8 years ago or something like this. And I brought this up in some arena. Like, I once saw C.R. Lama like on a throne in Bodh Gaya during the Nyingma Monlam in 1997, and I was so struck by him that I was like, oh my God, I want to meet him. And of course, the circumstances never allowed it, and I never got a chance to meet him in person. He's such an incredibly profound Dzogchen teacher. One of the things that James shared on Instagram the other day was a quote attributed to C.R. Lama, which was that the best Hatha Yoga practitioners or best Dzogchen practitioners appear to be idiots. They're very simple people, right? They don't know all the terms, right? They can't, it's as if they don't have like access to a thesaurus, right? Let alone a dictionary of Dzogchen terms, right? Because they don't care, because they just directly experience everything that's happening in a very ordinary, relaxed, and clear way. And I will still never understand the kind of odd karma of much of Vajrayana, at least, but Buddhism in general, like being the special purview of universities and academics. So this is kind of like really ironic, as if like Guru Rinpoche is playing a joke on all of us. Like, you want to get to know your mind, Find, like, train your mind to think academically, memorize all these terms, and then forget everything. And that's how you get away, go into debt and then get a job as a baker, right? Because this is not the kind of stuff that's going to happen, um, to scholars. Right. So remembering this, I think, is also really helpful because we have so much, the kind of Buddhist industrial complex in the United States, at least, favors the famous, famous, favors the people who memorize all this stuff, right, and that look impressive. But really, C.R. Lama's point is quite right, right? That it's always the people who are the most simple and relaxed, non-assuming, and not addicted to concept that are able to experience the mind in its most free form. There's another nice passage I read, I think the week prior, where C.R. Lama told James Lowe, like, you can't think your way out of samsara. You can't concept yourself out, right? Because thinking is the problem. Taking pictures with our mind, right, where everything just becomes concept, is the problem. And so, with this in mind, let's take a moment to sit just for 10 minutes. We're going to do 10 minutes of shine and then 10 minutes of lakton, just to be able to begin to feel into the interconnectedness between these two, right? But it's only the unseasoned scholar is the person who will say these are two different practices. Right? And so we'll feel into this a little bit. So again, allow your body to relax, and we'll, return back to these kind of more classical shine or shamatha techniques. Right. So, and of these, there's a variety, from which you can pick. The first is to gently settle your awareness onto your breath, right? Being aware of every inhalation and exhalation as it occurs, not thinking about them, each inhalation and exhalation, not analyzing them, not being curious about them within the context of Trokor, Tsalung practices, not being a yogin or yogini, just being a regular person who's breathing. So you could do that. Or you can gently affix your awareness on an object in your field of vision. This could be anything, a lamp, a pencil. Doesn't have to be exotic. It could be an empty glass. It could be a hat. It could be a stuffed animal. It could be an old rubber band just laying there on the floor. It could be a feather or a coin. Or you can bring your awareness to a visualized object, perhaps on the crown of your head or in your heart. Or your awareness on the nature of mind itself, gently watching thoughts, emotions, whatever happens. And just let yourself settle into the direct experience of this, all the while trying to let go of the past, future, present, letting go of the need to control or the need to figure anything out, and just resting in a very relaxed way, being with whatever's arising. We'll do this for 10 minutes. And gently bring your awareness and yourselves back to this group. And then very gently we'll return to this practice of Vipassana or Lakton. Right, this practice of observing the essence of mind. So just looking down to the text. So Bokramche writes, the best way to observe the essential nature of mind is to leave the mind in natural ease, in non-doing, relaxed and relaxation. Look again and again, examining and analyzing it. What is its essence, its color, its shape, its form, its size, and so on. If we ask what this essence of the stable mind is, it must be clarity, presence, and bareness. But when we look for stability and do not find it, we should let the production of thoughts arise and examine those. So we find this, right, and especially Shabkar's third song in Flight of the Garuda asks the practitioner to begin to look at the nature of your mind. What is it? Where does it come from? Where is it found? What part of the body is it located in, etc.? Where do thoughts come from? And because this isn't specifically an analytic meditation where we are just, like this kind of call and response where we ask, where is it? Like some kind of sonar, where is it? Ping. And then taking in the data. Right? We're not doing that. We're just looking lightly. We could say looking with knowing, right? Or looking with awareness. And so let's settle into this experience also for 10 minutes. We'll begin by letting yourself, just like the text says, leave the mind in natural ease and non-doing, relaxed and relaxation. So using that as this starting point, as this basis. And then begin to experience what begins to happen. What happens? Is it the thoughts happen? Is it a lot of thoughts? Going, coming. Or is there some stillness? What is the nature of thought activity? What is the nature of stillness? What is the nature of the awareness which knows both as they happen? So we'll settle like this for 10 minutes. And gently bring yourself back. So I wanted to see how people are doing. How is your mind? What is it? What is it like? Yeah, Justin.
It's amazing how much we think in words.
Can you say more?
Oh, it's constantly just where's the mind? Like you said, that's not the point.
Mhm.
Where's the color? Where's the form? Now they just keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. What was that sound? Who did that? Am I sitting correctly? Like, am I following too much?
Yeah.
Just all over the place. I'm more and more aware of it as the days go. How much I just be thinking in words constantly.
Yeah, thank you. Who here has had any experiences of being like a mute or an, an idiot, right? A simpleton, a corpse, right? Being able to experience, but not getting wrapped up in the, kind of a little bit in the Mimbo kind of experience. Eric, are you a Mimbo? Me too.
Uh, yeah, especially in the lock tongue section, just a lot of tenderness. Um, I just really want to enjoy being alive, you know, and not keep deferring that anymore. And what comes with that muteness is a sense of like, wow, like I have a lot of reasons to have a lot of joy, and that's just true, you know. And it's so easy to dismiss when I'm trying to be somebody. In the infinite unfolding of what it means to try to be somebody. And gradually it's starting to feel more and more like it's not worth the toll that it takes from me being able to enjoy being alive.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. I appreciate your vulnerability and sensitivity and sharing that too. Others, I see Remy leaning in. No. Yes, yeah, Sean.
Hi, everybody. Um, yeah, I guess a bit off of what Justin was speaking to about this sort of just endless flowing of words and and the muteness and the option of entering the nonverbal space and I think maybe it's Trungpa or someone gave me this idea about like, if you've been really engaged in some physical labor, that moment you get to like sit down and like take a sip of water or whatever, and you tune into the mind quality there where you're almost on a bodily level so fatigued that the thinking mind is like, I really just want to sit on this bucket and drink the water or whatever. Like, I just want to be off my feet. And it's kind of that fatigue moment is like opening the access to the nonverbal space. And like, I was almost thinking of the parallel of like kind of nausea with the information age and Instagram or whatever, or just the like fire hydrant Niagara Falls of just like fucking pixels and images and opinions and takes and words and like kind of like if I can tap into how hellish I'm finding that these days in the like 2024 peak acceleration, we're always been on the peak cusp of whatever, but like we're in this like late information age or something. And if I can tap into that sort of nausea fatigue, then it helps me be like, I'm just letting go. Actually, fuck all of that. Actually, fuck language. Like, and then it helps me do this kind of like more authentic, like palm thing or just entry into the space is granted by connecting with the fatigue and the nausea, and then just sort of like, whoa, I can't bear to hear another opinion ever again the rest of my life. Like, and then it kind of breaks you through a little, like, bursts through the membrane or something, and then it is the quiet simpleton land on the other side. It's very like soothing and
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to share one thing just based on this, Sean, what you shared, which somebody, yeah, but just sharing, somebody shared this with me. So share. Just shoveling it everywhere. But as a good example of, for example, how do you know that Guru Yoga is successful? Right. And so some kind of really nice key signs of success in Guru Yoga. And so these are described as uncontrollable or spontaneous arising of sadness or disillusionment with some sorrow, which inspires one on a deep level to turn away from fixation on the activities of this life. Uncontrived arising of devotion for all the gurus who come to mind, the three jewels, all of which makes one's mind much more decisive and single-pointed during prayer, and which fills one with empowering blessings. But the kind of why I like this is, like, in the United States, people practice to get high, almost, right? They practice to feel good, right? And what's being pointed out, by a number of people here and by this is like, we practice to remember not to get too distracted by all of this, right? That it will never stop. It never stops. It never, ever stops. Somebody gave me this pin with a picture of Britney Spears on it. And then it says, the words over it, samsara is designed to never end. And it's a nice kind of pop culture way of just, it doesn't cease because the mind doesn't cease, right? And we see this so often in so many texts. Like last week, sharing this Mipam text, and then this the Jume Ozer text as well, about thought activity, stillness, and awareness are the same thing. And we run around as practitioners, I got to have stillness, right? Stillness means I'm successful in my shamatha. Got to have awareness. Can't have all these thoughts. Got to have awareness. Can't have stillness, right? In our like constant obsession to be good and to be, like worthy of praise, we chase one thing at the expense of the whole thing. Once we begin to say that there's no difference, then we can stop reinvesting in this. Remy, what's on your mind? Or is it Remy today? Or is it Jasper?
Sorry. Don't know how to use this thing. I wanted to say, I've been on spring break for 1 week now. And I haven't practiced, like trying to get back into practice much more consistently. And I've been noticing that this is something that kind of happens a lot when I do like Vipassana style meditation, where like I have like all of these just like literally like things come into my mind, like music videos and like full on seasons of Ted Lasso. and it's so weird because it's like I'm having this like split experience where when I'm like doing other practices, I feel like that ability to settle. And then even and like I've really been like this week working on also some cultivating my visualization a little in a different way. And so it feels really weird. And I also had this thought, this realization this week that like I just like feel like allergic to like media. Like I don't like I start to like listen to something. Like I used to listen to like audio books or podcasts like all the time, passively. And now I'm like, oh, I was listening to this book and I was just like, oh, what am I doing? And I feel like I have all of these like past, I don't know, it's like things that aren't even me. It's just like appearance, like freaking out almost whenever I have this, when I like sit in this sort of way. So I was just wondering if, and this is something that's happened to me for years now. And I'm like, whoa, this looks weird. Not weird, but a pattern for sure. So I was wondering if you had anything to say about that.
Yeah. And so the pattern is around like the bleed, that it bleeds into other things.
No, that like specifically when I'm doing this type of focused meditation, I have like a really loud like mind. Like literally it's like I was saying, like songs and music videos and like, but it doesn't happen like when I'm doing like other types of practices. So and then I'm like, am I just not doing other practices right? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sometimes there's a little to be said about the different experience of awareness, right? When we're truly noticing this and truly aware, right? We're aware of a lot of underlying patterning, which can be some of this, but some of our patterning is also like active pushback, right? Where we are like, oh yeah, as if like in a subconscious level, we are saying like, try this now, and then this song, that song, this distraction. Yeah. There's a part of us that finds, awkward the openness, the vastness, the spaciousness, the fact maybe also the, this kind of inconvenient truth of there not being much to us to begin with, right? If we already think we're dull, well, just wait to see how dull we truly are. And in those moments, then we kick, there was a point in time for me, this is where I would sometimes get up and stop practicing. Right? I'd be like, oh, I forgot to put something over there, get up, and now I feel very compelled to do chores when I should be practicing. Respond to some email, right? So there's that part of it, right? It's like, when are we trying to kind of like outsmart ourselves out of this? And with that, we just, basically tether ourselves to the moment like a good dog and just, just say, no, you stay, nice try, And with other practices, like more liturgical practices, there's a lot more that's going on, right? There's conceivably more to be distracted by. Page reading, visualization, if there's a melody with things, different kinds of mantras or mudras or these kinds of things. And it's not to say that they serve a role to distract, right? But they can be distracting. There can be a lot of busyness. That is not the same as settling into open awareness necessarily. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, to just throw this out there, like, how often we can have an intense fear response based on the possibility of succeeding in our practice.
Yeah.
That kind of, can hijack the situation a little bit.
Yeah. I definitely feel like these distractions that come up, it's like I'm aware of how it actually makes my mind smaller,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been experiencing, I mean, not a lot, but some spaciousness in the last few days. And so it's like, it is very a jarring thing. It's like, oh, whoa, this is weird because I'm like meditating and I'm supposed to be spacious in my meditation, but like, it's like so narrow. It feels really narrow because of like my mind's reaction to it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you for that. And in those moments, this is the time to kind of, let awareness train itself on mind itself. Like, where is this happening? What is this that's arising? And then also getting curious, like in the same kind of, style of inquiry. What happens when I let go of this? What happens when I let go of all of it? So we're at the top of the hour. I know, Tony, your hand is raised. No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. So just a reminder that this is the last Mahamudra for the people this month, and there won't be one on the 2nd because I'll be in retreat. But then the following Tuesday, which is the 9th, it will be back on, and we'll be here. So just to remind this to everybody. And in this moment, may the practice of Mahamudra in whatever form bring endless benefit to all beings, and may it cause each one of us to be able to recognize the nature of mind and bring all beings to this realization as well. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Be well, be healthy, and
Have a good retreat.
thank you. Thank you. Take care all.